Right, Harlem. So I was at the boxing at the weekend. Did you go to the boxing or not at
I
Wembley?
wasn't there. I tuned in. No, I wasn't there. I wanted the front row seats in front of the TV.
Fuck. It's always better watching it on TV,
Yeah.
but I got offered to go to Wembley,
Yeah.
and Liam Gallagher was playing, so there was a
Nice.
few added
Special
extras.
occasion.
It was a special
Yeah.
occasion. I live in Edinburgh, so I've come down to London for it. But I thought the whole setup was unbelievable. Wasn't sure what to make of the Riyadh season. Hoped it would come to the UK, which it did, for 96,000 people, biggest night in boxing history, British boxing history, which I disagreed with, but I kind of went with it. You know what I mean?
It looked great though through the TV. Like, it looked, I think the production, everything. There's no expense spared, is there? It's it's all about making the best show possible for them, and that's what Riyadh season's brought. Everything looked on point, and I'm sure it was even better there in person.
Yeah, I actually don't think it did it justice. I watched it back, and it didn't look as good on TV. Obviously, the fights do, but the production and the music and the ring walks and the energy, it was one of the best experiences I've had, sporting experience,
wow.
and I've had a few. It was absolutely amazing. So, big shout out. Not that anyone's going to be listening who's involved in Riyadh season yet, but no, it was really cool. I mean, the worrying thing for me watching that fight, and as an expert, you can maybe share your opinion on it, was just how bad AJ looked and how good Dubois looked. It felt like it was dangerous. That was what it looked like at points. There was almost a part to me where I was like, throw in the towel.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be a dangerous fight between them. It was always promoted as who lands first, and more of like a shootout. So I think it was always a dangerous fight for either of them. But Dubois came out quickly, I think, with energy that maybe AJ wasn't expecting. I feel like he was starting out fencing and maybe wanted a bit more time to work his way in, and Dubois didn't give him that and landed that heavy overhand in round one. And I think from there, that's a shot that could end a lot of people. The first shot in round one, that shot, that overhand landed flush on the chin and kind of pinned him down onto one knee, and he showed some real heart to come through that.
Well,
recover.
he looked like after that punch, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. That's what it felt like, and everyone in the stadium was like,
Yeah.
this is over.
Yeah. Well, his legs were gone at that point. And Dubois could have almost ended it at any time after that, because he was hanging on and showed a lot of bravery doing so as well. And then he started to recover, I feel like, in maybe round 4 or 5. Started to catch Dubois a little bit as well. And then in hurting Dubois, he went to kind of seize the opportunity and land some bigger shots as he backed up to the corner and walked straight onto that overhand.
Same shot.
Yeah.
Because McGuigan called it, didn't he? The opposite to what his corner was saying. I saw it on social media, which is really interesting to see.
Well, he's saying don't throw the uppercut. He was saying slip the uppercut, slip the jab. He's jabbing over his front foot, slip it and throw the uppercut. But he was also throwing heavy right hands. So when you try and throw an uppercut against someone throwing straight right hands, you're wide open. And I think that's what obviously Shane picked up on from the corner, given that advice.
Yeah, I mean, being in the stadium, I don't know whether because I was in the stadium, but then I watched it back, so I'm talking crap. I've never seen Dubois look quicker. That's the quickest I've ever seen him. And I've watched majority of his fights, watched him against Usyk, and I thought he looked really good there with the body shot, but that's the quickest he's looked at. I watched AJ in his last fight against Francis Ngannou, right, so you can't take anything off that, but he looked good. But Dubois looked like he'd just gone to another level.
Yeah, I think styles make fights, and I think Dubois was really fired up. This was his big opportunity, and he'd been gearing up to this. He was on a good run before, defeated a lot of good fighters on the way up, and is kind of on fight form in his prime. Yeah, I think stylistically, like Usyk could have made it a bit more difficult for him with the movement and things like that, where he can't plant his feet as much and throw shots with as much velocity. But I think with AJ, it was going to be a trade-off of, they're both heavy hitters, sharp punches and who lands first, and Dubois was just that little bit sharper, and just brought that intensity, and that's what caught AJ off guard in the first round, I think, with the overhand. And from that point, you know, he was always recovering, and obviously showed a lot of heart to last till the fifth round after that big overhand in the first round. So yeah, I mean, what a story Dubois has, though, coming back from some of the fights where someone said he's got no heart and people were doubting him, and you know, he had the heavy loss to Joyce, and then even after I think the Usyk fight, people were slagging him, but you know, I think he has that, again, one-mindedness where, you know, he almost seems like his only focus is boxing and training, and he's not fussed about anything else. So I feel like that's what got him in the zone to bring that intensity in a fight of that magnitude. I think he phased everything else out and was only focused on going in there and setting about it.
I don't know how, if you're AJ, you think you can win that fight. I know in the fifth round, he threw a couple of big bombs. But if you're AJ, would you take that fight?
I think
the rematch.
I think he can win that fight. It's the same as the first fight. It's a shootout, and who lands first, because AJ can hurt Dubois. He showed that, but Dubois just started with a bigger, a higher intensity, and you know, AJ was carrying the left hand low. So I feel like if they fought again, there's still, you know, it's still a shootout. It's still whoever lands first, in my opinion. But I feel like as Dubois grows in confidence, he gets more dangerous.
Well, they say as well, don't you? If you become champion, you become 20% better because of the confidence.
Yeah, I think.
And he's waltzed into the ring. The next one, he's fucking waltzing because he was so good.
Yeah, he was great, and I feel like that confidence will make him even better second time round. But they're both big guys that can punch hard and punch fast, and I think if AJ lands first, then it's a different fight. But
are you AJ's or are you Dubois? Like, what's
I like both of them. AJ's done wonders for the sport of boxing. He's been a great representative of the sport. Always took on the biggest challenges, and you know, even when he's come off second best, he's gone on and took on other great challenges. He fought Usyk, and the first fight was, you know, it looked like he was out of his depth, and then he went back in there second time.
Yeah, he looked really good second fight.
Looked great second time. So.
And the Ruiz fight when he came back and fought him, like
exactly.
That first one was like, again, a fucking heavyweight Mexican. What are you doing?
Yeah. And stylistically, I felt like Ruiz was kind of all off for him, because small guy, winging shots over the top, and has the ability to recover from big shots as well. So yeah, I respect AJ a lot, based on what he's done in the sport. You know, I love the Dubois story as well. You know, coming back from adversity, he's you know, he's not worried about any of the media or how he comes across, or you know, he's just one-minded and going on that ring and causing havoc. Yeah. And you know, I think he deserved that moment on Saturday night.
Well, he got booed at the beginning as well, and that was the thing that surprised me. I actually didn't realise he was from London as well, Dubois, and it just shows you the power that AJ's built around his brand. And maybe it was the Joe Joyce fight for Dubois where he pulled out. Well, he couldn't fight because of his cheek. But surely now, I'm not saying it's turned, but that I was surprised by the boos being in London for Dubois and just how popular AJ was.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that he'd be booed, but AJ carries, you know, a huge fan base. Maybe Dubois thrived on that as well. You know, I think he's had a kind of underdog story ever since the Joyce fight. But sometimes that hunger and that kind of willingness to prove people wrong gives you a different strength when you go in the ring, and clearly that played out in the fight. So sometimes you can use that as a strength as well.
Do you think they'll rematch? Do you think he'll
Potentially,
Do
I
it.
think they're trying to get the Fury fight. I think if they,
AJ Fury.
yeah, I think they'll see maybe if Fury loses to Usyk, maybe they'll try and get the Fury fight.
Does that hold as much weight now?
It doesn't hold as much weight for sure, but I still think people will. I don't think people will demand it, but people will watch it. So I think they'll see, and if not, then I think a rematch could make sense. But it's a dangerous fight for both of them. It's not a given. Either way, it's the same firefight, and it's who lands first.
Right, I'm going to ask you for a few predictions.
Yeah.
Fury, Usyk, who's my favourite fighter. I do love Fury, but Alexander Usyk, love him, watched him for years. Who wins that?
I feel like Fury will win the rematch. Yeah, I think Usyk had to do everything right and did do everything right to win that fight. And had to, because he's a smaller man, he had to work hard to win that fight, and he done it. And I think that to do that a second time will be more difficult. But yeah, I think edging towards Fury, but it's you can never write that. You can never write that man Usyk off.
Well, I mean, he's not even a heavyweight. That's the crazy thing, is he?
Yeah.
He's not. It's
he
mental.
He just accepted the challenge, like go up and take on the biggest guy, the best guy, the most tricky guy in the weight division, and he done it. So you have to give it to him. I think it'll be harder to do a second time, which is why I would edge towards Fury for the rematch. But you can never write Usyk off.
Yeah, I was chatting to Chris Smith, and he's got the belt, the cruiserweight belt, and I said, "How cool! Like Usyk used to have this." He said, "I hope you don't want it back." Phenomenal.
That's not a man you want to see for it.
Oh gosh, he's awesome. What about AJ if he fights Dubois again?
AJ,
you got
if
to
he
pick
fights
one.
Dubois. I mean, on recent form, you have to say Dubois, but he's just gone and done it. But I think it's a pretty even fight if they fight again. You
got to pick one.
I'd say Dubois based on recent form.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, it's a firefight again. It's whoever lands first. So.
Yeah, and last one, Dubois fighting Fury. Heard that Fury's dodged it.
Dubois Fury.
They've not fought, have they? They
no,
sparred.
No, yeah. I think
the fact that Francis Ngannou, who got flatlined by AJ, was throwing bombs and hit Fury and dropped him. I'm thinking if Dubois hits him with one of them.
If Dubois hits him with one of them, it's over. But he's a tricky customer, Fury, especially when he's on form. So I guess it depends what form he's on. I think Fury on form would beat Dubois, but if he turns up 80%, I think Dubois is gonna take it.
All right. Well, fast forward if you think Fury's going to beat Usyk. Who is the top heavyweight at the minute? Just give us the number one. I know it's a very throwaway question.
Usyk's number one right now.
All right.
Yeah, Usyk's number
one.
And
if Fury beats him, would you say Fury goes up to number one? So you say Fury and Usyk are the two best?
If Fury beats him, he goes to number one. But Usyk, based on what he's achieved and that performance against Fury, he's number one, and he showed, also against Dubois. Dubois had a lot of success in that fight as well, but Usyk's the man that's got the answers.
He's the fucking man. And what about where he's walking off Conor McGregor, and he's just like, he's charismatic. Class, he's all class.
Yeah.
He's all class. He's like the perfect role model for anyone boxing. Yeah. He's wiping the slate clean in amateurs, in professional, heavyweight.
He's ticked every box.
box.
You have to put him at the top. Unless Fury can change that, when they meet. But right now, Usyk's the man.
Yeah. And the excellent one, how do we call it again? Turk
Al-Sheikh.
Turk Al-Sheikh. What do we call him again?
His Excellency.
His Excellency. He's going to put them together. So in him we trust.
Yeah. He's making the fights.
He is. Harlem class.